let's welcome in the newest member of the Nation Network family.
Oh my.
Jeff Marek.
What's
Sir,
up, gentlemen? Hello,
resurrected.
boys. So, I know he's off the mat. He's off the mat.
Yes.
The fight continues. Can I be so bold as to sort of navigate here for maybe 20 seconds and ask Rhett a favor?
Oh.
Okay. One of my favorite people that I've met in hockey, I met 2 years ago in Florida before the All-Star game. Rhett, can you do me a huge favor? I hope I'm not overstepping here. Can you smile?
Oh.
Okay. Did Martin Robbins ever work on those teeth?
Yes,
you remember
I'm
Martin
sure
Robbins?
he did. Yes,
he
yes.
had, because your name came up. So we shot some stuff. Elliot and I, when I was doing 32, we shot some. I spent a whole day with him, and it was one of my cherished hockey memories because it was like you walk into his dentist office, and it's the Florida Panthers Hall of Fame. And he's telling me the Robert Shfela stories, and I was a huge Shfela fan. And the game where he lost like all of his upper teeth, and he came back like half a period, like gutsy stories like that. And your name came up as well. I was just curious. When I say Martin Robbins, Rhett, what comes to your mind? I apologize for hijacking the show.
I
here.
actually, he's very sharp dressed.
Yes, he is.
And I was from Saskatchewan, and I was not very sharp dressed. And Dr. Rob, he would buy me ties, say like, just next time you wear this suit, wear this. This might.
He's a very, very dapper gentleman. You want to hear a quick great tie story? This is a Harry Neal tie story. When I was working Hockey Night in Canada in 2007, I'm doing a Montreal San Jose game. And so I finished the Hockey Night in Canada radio show on Sirius around 4 o'clock. And I get on the plane and I get to Montreal around 7 o'clock on a Friday night. And I walk into the Sheraton and there's Harry at the bar and he waves me over. So let me throw my bag in the room and I'll come down and have a beer with you. And we start talking. We end up talking about clothes. And Harry says to me, ask me how many ties I have. I said, okay, Harry, how many ties do you have? And he says, about 700 ties. 700 ties, Harry. And he says, yeah, about 700 ties. He goes, ask me how many I paid for. I said, how many did you pay for? He said, none. I said, you should go tie shopping with me. I said, Harry, at those prices, I'd love to go tie shopping with you. He said, put your beer down. So I put my beer down. I said, we're going tie shopping. We'll walk up to the front desk, and Harry goes to the person there, says, excuse me, I was staying at this hotel about a month ago, left a couple of ties up in the room. I'm not sure if you have a lost and found basket. And sure enough, they'll always bring out a basket. And there's always going to be ties. And he grabs two, throws them over his shoulder. Yep, those are the two. Thank you very much for your help. Does it at every hotel. It is the best. That's a tip for all of your listeners and viewers. You don't have, as long as you don't care what the tie is, you never have to buy them. Just next time you're at a hotel, they'll bring out the basket. And that's where you go tie shopping.
Is that a kleptomaniac? Someone that's always stealing? What's the right terminology?
Not stealing. That's usually your noggin.
Borrowing.
Yeah.
You bring it back.
It's creative stealing. It's thoughtful stealing. You're unburdening the hotel of carrying around these ties. Anyhow, I'll turn the recreation over.
Well, hey, thank you. That's great. This is what I love about what you do and the way you talk about the sport. It's always incredible stories that tie into the legends of the game. Tell us about the new project. What is it going to be like, and how did you arrive here? Because there's lots of different things you've done in the past. It's not just your thoughts where a lot of people did see you the most.
You know, we all have wish lists, right? Like I'm sure you guys have wish lists for things that you want to accomplish in your professional career. And when it comes to my career, like I have like a whole lot of things that I've always wanted to do and was never able to do. Like, you know, you work for a company, it's like they hire you to do one or two very specific things. And there's a whole laundry list of, well, I want to do this and this and this. And well, we don't have the resources and the time and et cetera to get it all done. When I first started talking to Nation Network, the first question when I was speaking with Jay Dalton was kind of like, you know, what do you want to do? And I said, you know what, I'm swinging for the fences then. Like, I'm not going to go conservative. I'm trying to hit a tape measure home run. I'm like, I want to do this and this and this and this. I want to do a daily show and podcast and video. And I want to do a hockey history thing. I don't think that's been announced yet, but I'm going to do a hockey history thing on social media. And there you go. And something with junior hockey and prospects and PWHL. And I just like kept adding up. And Jay was just bobbleheading it. Like, okay, we can find a way, if you're interested, to make all of this work. Your listeners and viewers may not understand, like, that's a really refreshing answer.
Yeah.
Like, normally in this industry, the default is no. Nobody gets fired for saying no. People get fired for saying yes and greenlighting something stupid. But like, what I like about Nation Network is there's this entrepreneurial spirit of let's try something. you know what, we're not going to hit 1,000. We're not always going to get on base, but we're going to try. And when you do that, you're going to, not every time, but you're going to succeed. And that to me was most attractive of all the places that I talked to since my unemployment.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, our story is not the same, but it's not dissimilar. We worked for the same incredibly small mom and pop shop telecom company, and I was looking around after 10 years of being the morning show in Calgary.
Yeah.
Boomer, who's up at a ringette tournament in Edmonton today, Rhett, myself. We had cultivated I think a really great audience, and for whatever reason, our show resonated. But you just looked around.
Your show is huge.
You kept thinking about, like,
people love you. People love you. Like,
okay,
they adore you. It's true.
But like, you're looking around, you're like, what more can we do? What are we? Where are the 2 foot putts that we're missing? Like, what about more? And why do I believe that something has to happen on AM dial? We can't go bigger than that. Like, you're literally seeing cars coming off factory assembly lines without AM now. Like, we can't be using this 1800s technology moving. It's a digital world now, so it's got to be like you're unchained a bit here, in the sense that there is no limits in the sense.
So the thing that I've been telling people about the Nation Network, and you guys have much more experience at it than I do. I've been here all of a cozy 2 days, but in my discussions and having a look, peek under the hood and seeing how this whole thing works. One of the things that I really like about it is it's big enough a company that it's well funded, so you can do things. So your creativity has some financial heft behind it, so you can actually execute. But it's small enough that, and this is what I think what you were getting at, you can pivot quickly.
Yeah.
When tastes change or something changes, I mean, you know how large companies are, we all know who they are and how they operate, and they're certainly well funded, and it's spectacular to watch when it all sinks. But they're just less nimble, right? You get on trolley tracks, and it's hard to pivot. It's hard to change. I mean, what you guys have the ability to do is, hey man, Flames fans' tastes have changed, or there's a new perspective, and you can pivot fast. You can broadcast to reflect that reality. That's not necessarily true elsewhere.
Okay, so I know you're a huge hockey trivia guy. I have 2 favorite hockey trivia questions, and I know you're gonna crush them.
Oh, I don't know about that.
But they're like water cooler ones that everyone's always amazed at the answer. And there's also some tie-ins that work regionally. That's a hint. Can you tell me the only Swede that's ever scored 50 goals in the NHL? Because that's crazy. Think about all the great Swedish players.
Only Swede that scored 50. Was it Kjell Dahlin?
No. It was a Calgary Flame, which is your regional tie-in.
Was it Kent Nilsson?
It was not the Magic Man.
My favorite. Who was it? Who was the only Swede? Oh, Håkan Loob.
Is that not amazing? Think of all the stars, the Sundins, Peter Forsberg. But no one.
Okay, but here's the thing. I'm going to go like hockey stereotype 101 on you here.
Yeah.
Maybe that shouldn't surprise us, because what are Swedes known for when it comes to forwards, specifically playmaking? I just mentioned Kent Nilsson, who, I mean, hockey player after hockey player, we'll talk about him being the most skilled player they've ever shared the ice with. Wayne Gretzky is one of those people who said that. Like, it's almost like, I mean, how many times have you watched Swedish hockey players and said, stop trying to pass it in the net?
Yes.
Like, they're wonderful at distributing, right? It's like the old joke about the CDs in Vancouver. Henrik to Daniel to some guy who's got an empty net.
Right.
Like, that's the joke, right? But it's true. Like, it is a passers hockey nation. Håkan Loob. I should have got that. Bad on me. -1. -1.
No, it's all right. And you know what? If he played for the Leafs, everyone would know the answer. It is kind of one of those.
That is probably true.
You're right. Like, and he's just a tiny little window in the 80s there.
Although Kent Nilsson, doesn't he still hold the record for most points in a season by the Flames?
I probably would. There were some gaudy numbers.
He's like 130 points. Like, there's some players. There's 2 that come to mind that history has not only forgotten but hasn't been kind to and should be kinder to. Yeah. One is Kent Nilsson, and the other is the answer to this question.
Okay.
Wayne Gretzky was number 1, most points in the 80s. Who was number 2? Most points in the 80s, number 1 was Gretzky. Number 2 is someone we never talk about.
Not one of his teammates.
No.
Jeez.
It's a great one.
Not an Islander.
Nope. His name rhymes with Peter Stastny.
Okay. Wow. How about that?
No one ever talks about Peter
You're right.
Stastny.
You're right.
He's one of the greatest players ever.
We don't have enough video from those days. And I feel like our producer Jack, I think, just turned 26. Like, how in the world could you ever try to explain or illustrate how Peter Stastny played? And I'm trying to explain to him what Canada Cups are because we got into it on the Four Nations stuff a couple days ago.
Yeah. Which was your biggie? Was your biggie 87? No. So I remember 76. 76 was a huge one for me.
I'm 43, so it would have been when they finally went to the Olympics in 98. I remember staying up till 2-3 a.m. in high school just for puck drop, only to see Mark Crawford put Ray Bourque in a shootout before the greatest player of all time. That's kind of a sticks in my
Gretzky was never good at breakaways.
I don't care. It's Gretzky, baby.
I'll tell you what. Doug McLean brought up a great point. I remember I challenged him on this one. I'm like, the real problem is Sakic was injured. He's in the stands. He's money on the shootout. Like, that's the guy you should have had. Never mind Gretzky.
Was the problem.
Hasek was the problem. But Doug McLean, he said, listen, everybody knows if you're coaching, there's no way you're going to die on that sword. You have to have Gretzky in because if it doesn't work, you will forever be known as the guy that didn't put Gretzky in.
People will be talking about it 26 years later. Today's the proof.
It's 2024.
Yes, 26 years later. We're still talking.
2 days into my new career here at TNN, and we're talking about Mark Crawford, 98, and Hasek, and Nagano.
Okay, so you guys can team up on this one. This is my second favorite hockey trivia. There's only 6 guys that have scored 75 goals in a season. There's a lot of tap-ins, but it's a unique list. No Swedes, obviously, because only one scored 50. So start with the greats, and we'll move our way through.
Okay, so we're going to do Gretzky, we're going to do Lemieux, we're going to do Hull, we're going to do Eisman, we're going to do Bernie Nichols?
No.
Phil Esposito for sure.
At 76. The other 2, I think, did it the same year. One was a rookie.
Alexander McGillney, Teemu Selanne.
How good's that list?
Is that right? That's a sweet list.
Isn't that cool?
Okay.
Those are prolific snipers, right?
Do you want like unpopular, going to be hated in Canada take from me?
Sure. Yeah.
I'll throw Bobby Orr into this mix as well.
Okay.
With Phil Esposito. How do you feel about hockey players who smashed records when the league was at its weakest? Like, I've always maintained that Nick Lidstrom's the greatest defenseman in the history of the NHL.
Okay.
Over Bobby Orr. That gets me hated, but here's my logic.
Yeah.
In 1967, the league doubled.
Yeah.
And the WHA came along in the early 70s. In 1970, we got 2 more teams. In 72, we got 2 more teams. There was expansion and a whole new league that watered down hockey everywhere. And we saw a lot of video of Bobby Orr skating around pylons and Red Wings jerseys. Right? How many times? Grapes would show it every Saturday night, right? Yeah. The league was at its weak. I'm not taking anything away from their accomplishments. I'm just saying, how much do you measure like the Esposito 76 goals and all the things that Bobby Orr did? Mind you, they were the best at that time. Yeah. But I would argue that is when hockey was at its weakest point.
It's funny
because it had been so the quality had been dissolved.
At one point, there was 16 NHL teams, and there were supposed to be 16 WHA teams. I think 2 of them either folded or never got off the ground. But
that happened a lot.
Just got to 32 teams 3 years ago with Seattle, right? Like, in the late 70s, they were there. So you're right. Interesting. That's
I would find it interesting for I'm a little too young to remember the 70s.
You child.
The 70s era of hockey, and in a way, it's like, does it really matter? But the guys that played it, like a Gretzky that was around it, saw it, and knows. Right, like you can say, well, we got different skates, and guys are better trained, and this and that. If you could get the honesty out of them. Like, I think sitting around and having a beer with a guy, he'd probably give you the truth of the matter. Yeah. They're not going to say it publicly because they're going to give you the, wow, it's just different. This guy was special. And but in reality, I'm with you. It was an easier game for guys that were talented back then.
Tougher though.
My kids are just getting old enough now. Just this last week, they were looking up records and stuff. And they were going back to the 1920s. And they're like, there was no teams. Of course they won these many Stanley.
Yes.
What? Yeah. So I mean, you had a 25% chance of winning a cup?
Yeah. No, my kid's the same. Like I'm in Erie right now. I'm in Pennsylvania. I got to take my kid to game one of his tournament against the junior otters here in a couple of moments. And they're the same. Like my kids are the same now. They're starting to go through all the hockey history and find it outstanding. They're still default to, Connor Bedard's the best and the best ever. And that's absolutely true. We all sit on the shoulders of those hockey players that have come before. But I don't know about you guys, but I always have like a hard time contextualizing who's better than who historically.
Yeah.
But there's the closest way that I've got to it is, and I think it was Terry O'Reilly who came up with this one. His idea was, if you want to judge hockey players, you can just do this, sitting around, you got nothing to do. Take 2 goaltenders at the constant K, the exact same goaltenders. Take 5 Bobby Orrs, dress them at every position. Take 5 Wayne Gretzky's, dress them at every position. Drop the puck, who wins the game?
Yeah. I'd pay to watch that.
Do that with Mario. Do that with Gordy. I will always throw Jean Beliveau in there. I will throw Larry Robinson in there. Like, it's an interesting sort of thought experiment. Maybe it says more about like where we are at as hockey fans or quasi historians. But that's for me the closest way I can sort of try to gauge who is the best. And I think when I do that, 9 times out of 10, I'm coming back with Mario as the best player of all time.
He was unreal. Okay. We could go all day. We can't though, because
I got to get a kid in
hockey tournament in Erie. Congrats, welcome aboard, and let's chat again soon. This has been fun.
We're going to talk about teeth.
Nice.
Yeah, there we go.
Theft.
That's right. Look at that. He does have upper. It's like Nathan McKinnon. Until he won the Stanley Cup, we didn't know that he had upper teeth. All of a sudden, when they tell you, like, oh, he actually smiled. Well, I didn't know he had that.
That Erie rink, terrible, by the way.
I'm going for the first time right now.
Oh, get ready.
My kid is playing in the rink for the Otter, where the Otters play. Then I'm going to go see the Otters in the Sarnia's thing on Saturday. So I'm going to go see players that Calgary Flames fans might want to know more about later on. Malcolm Spence and Matthew Schaefer, ladies and gentlemen. So looking forward to that.
Schaefer, I hear great things. Hey,
he's fantastic.
Try that lube trivia 10 times. I bet you're 10 for 10. It'll be good.
First of all, it's a great hockey name. So I should know it. I'm embarrassed because it's just one of the great hockey names of all time.
Also, the only time on the show I've said try that lube. We got to go, Jeff. Thank you. Have a great week.
Where are you going with this?
Enjoy Erie. There's Jeff Marek. The Sheet will debut in December here on the Nation Network. Didn't have that on my bingo card, did I?
Wait, what?
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to check out more of our content right here on the Flames Nation YouTube page. We had a bunch of great long form interviews. You can check out some videos we've done as well outside of the studio. And of course, if you want more writing or merchandise stuff, flamesnation.ca or nationgear.ca. Appreciate you watching.